1975, I hereby state that adequate notice of this regular meeting has been provided to the public by written notice dated January 11th, 2019. The notice has been posted on bulletin boards and at the Board of Education building, communicated to at least one of the boards designated as newspapers, and filed with the Borough Clerk of Palisades Park. When do you have a second? Roll call, please.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Dr. Matarazzo?
Here?
Mrs. Jang? Here. Mr. Jason Kim?
Here.
Ms. Rebecca Lou? Here. Mr. Matisich?
Here.
Mrs. Lynn? Here. Mr. Barnabas Wu?
Yes.
Mr. Jeffrey Wu?
Here.
Mr. Timothy Yang?
Here.
Dr. Cirillo?
Here.
Mrs. Kozeski? Here. Mr. Petracca?
Here. Okay, thank you. Just as a statement, I'd like to again remind everyone that this Sunday is a fundraiser for Project Graduation. I know that many of the people have been working extremely hard on that, and we would appreciate anyone's support. I believe it's from 4 o'clock until 8 o'clock up at the Elks. And again, I thank everyone for all of their work that they did. Really, it's a nice job. Thank you. Report of the superintendent.
Yes, so very important that we all are on the same page with regard to the whole process with reference to the referendum. Yesterday, there was much to do about a news conference at my office, which is indeed what happened. 5 different media outlets were there. We had representation from both the Korean and American press. The process is, as we've always said, still within timeline. We are hopeful tonight to pass a resolution in new business to submit everything to the Department of Education by Friday, which gives us the right to have an election in September of 2019. I also will go on record and tell you last Monday, 3 of our board members, in addition to the mayor and borough administrator, met. We discussed having a community event, almost like a town hall meeting, where members of the public, Palisades Park community, teachers, parents, students, please come out. Come out, we will advertise it, we will share information as we proceed, and we will discuss items that are identified, because clearly we know the schools are in need of much attention. This is not bells and whistles, this is clearly structural concerns. This is roofs, boilers, windows, this is expansions when and where needed. As we know, we're trying to do our very best, and we need the whole community involved in supporting such an endeavor. April 25th, if you want to mark your calendars, again, we will be advertising it, but I know as the spring weather comes and spring break is going to be here before we know it, a lot of people have other things on their agendas, but please put that on your calendars, 7 p.m. at the junior senior high school. While I'm on that note, the junior senior high school, last month I had the pleasure of publicly commending some of our finer student athletes. When I chose the profession of education, being a former athlete in college, I really took to heart what student athletes do day in and day out in the classroom, but then how they excel on the athletic field, and really represent not just the Board of Ed and their schools, but clearly their family. And to know and to take part in some of those events really is a credit to you all. I see we have a pretty good audience tonight compared to others, and it's because you deserve the attention. So in no specific order, I think all but one might be here, or maybe everyone snuck in. Yeah, Sam's here, good. No specific order, I think obviously recognition deserves to be given. We'll go with Sam first since the ladies outnumber you. Senior Sam Golovin, he's a first team all-league in the 200 medley, 50 free, 100 free, and 400 free medley relay. He was a second team all-county swimmer in the 50 free, 100 fly, and 200 free. Sam qualified for the state meet of champions in the 200 free relay, 50 free, and 100 free, where he placed 10th in the state of New Jersey. Sam was named MVP for the team for the second time this year. He holds the team records for the 50 free, 100 fly, 100 free, and 200 free. I will tell you, and again, I met with his coach, Ms. Reckler, earlier. Looking at some of the team records for both the Leonia Palisades Park swimming, Sam is a member of at least 6 of the 8 school records. And again, I went to one swim meet, and it was a state tournament girls meet, and Sam was there cheering on his teammates. As a captain, I commend you. I was at his national letter of intent signing day. We wish you the very best at Montclair State. And again, thank you for all you do for Palisades Park. He gets a lot of attention because he's a senior. Christian Lee, who is here also holds many school records in the 200 free. The 200, I guess IM is going to be the intermediate medley. Individual, I was close. You could tell I didn't swim. But the reality is, Christian also has a school record in the 500 free. In addition, Christian qualified for the State Meet of Champions. I would also like to commend and compliment publicly Christian Lee. The next 3 ladies brought a lot of attention to our school in no specific order. So I guess we can go with the one basketball player first. 1,000 points in varsity athletics is not an easy task. Varsity sports is tough in itself. Nicolette Costanza has not only scored 1,000 points for the girls varsity basketball team, but I also can tell you publicly, and watching that team grow from days of Mr. Hutchinson not having a lot of fun to days of enjoying himself thoroughly, I credit girls like Nicolette for bringing that group of girls to more of a family environment. She will be sorely missed. She is someone who clearly deserves special recognition. On 1,000 points on varsity girls basketball, Nicolette Costanza. The next lady is also a senior. And I think we heard Mr. Frangen, Coach Frangen, last month at a board meeting singing her praises after I commended her. I see her here with her dad today. Jasleen Nanda qualified for the State Meet of Champions. I believe she was the first female athlete in winter track to do such. I will tell you, I commend any person who ever runs track, because people that think track, they think the finish line never comes. So she was smarter than we all are, and she competed in the high jump. She didn't have to run that far. Not only is Jasleen clearly the first female athlete to compete at the state tournament, but she's also a phenomenal student athlete for the junior senior high school, and thank you for being here. Jasleen. And last but not least, I can go on, and I hope for the next 2 years I have that opportunity, because Athlete of the Week is not something achieved or attained by many of our student athletes. And this young lady, and I stress young, as a 10th grader, was the Female Athlete of the Week in the Bergen Record, North Jersey Sports. In addition, I guess 8 out of 10 individual and or school and team records are held by this young lady. The fact that she is in the 10th grade and in the junior senior high school, competed at the State Meet of Champions, placed at the State Meet of Champions. I will tell you wholeheartedly, anytime Palisades Park beats IHA in anything, I get to go home and tell my wife about it. And this girl beat them, and so did her team. Jun So Kim, congratulations, good luck, because you have 2 more years of vesting what you did this year. The sky is the limit. Congratulations. tell me. They're not allowed to. Take care. I do, Mr. President, need to go into closed session for one matter pertaining to a follow-up from last month on a bullying allegation.
Do you want to do that now?
No, at the end of the meeting.
You got it. Thank you. Congratulations on behalf of the Board of Ed to all of you. Phenomenal. I mean, wow, what an achievement. In addition to that, I'd just like to mention also that I had the honor with many of the board members to attend the athletic dinner as well as the art show that was held at Riverside Square. I was in awe at both of those events. I mean, I cannot believe the amount of talent that we have, although I should believe it. You displayed it in such a way that made us so proud. And again, I thank all of the coaches, all of the teachers. Great effort, and I really think it's a phenomenal event to go to, as we try to go to every single one. But thank you, and we appreciate it. Okay, next would be the report of the attorney.
I have nothing to report, thank you.
Very good. Minute approval? None at this time? Then we'll go right into the committee reports. We'll start with finance. Mr. Matisich.
Before you have 8 resolutions, I move on the consent agenda with the reading of the number 8.
Okay. Would you like to read that one specifically now?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
2019-2020 tentative budget. Be it resolved that the preliminary budget be approved for the 2019-2020 school year using the 2019-2020 state aid figures, and the business administrator be authorized to submit the following tentative budget to the executive county superintendent for schools for approval in accordance with the statutory deadline. And be it resolved that that in accordance with the NJSA 18A, that the 2019-2020 school year budget indicates the adjustment for increase in the healthcare cost in the amount of $185,636. And be it further resolved that the Palisades Park Board of Education approves the tentative 2019-2020 school district budget as follows. Local tax levy, $903,956. Total debt service, $115,242, for a total of $24,019,198. Be it further resolved that the public hearing of the 2019-2020 school budget will be held on April 24th, 2019, and I believe it'll probably be here at 7 p.m. Approval for maximum travel. Whereas school district policy 9250 and the NJAC 668 provides that the Board of Education shall establish in the annual school budget a maximum expenditure amount that may be allotted for travel and expense reimbursement. Therefore, be it resolved that the board hereby establishes a district maximum for the 2019-2020 school year at the sum of $10,000. I move on all 8.
I second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Dr. Matarazza.
Yes.
Mrs. Jang. Yes. Mr. Jason Kelly.
Yes.
Ms. Rebecca Lake. Yes. Mr. Madison.
Yes.
Mrs. Yoon Min. Yes. Mr. Barnabas Rowe.
Yes.
Mr. Jeffrey Rowe.
Yes.
Mr. Timothy Yang.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Matisich. And Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Kim.
Yes, before us, we have 5 resolution. I'd like to make a motion as a consent agenda.
Second on that?
I'll second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Dr. Matarazza.
Yes.
Mrs. Jang. Mr. Kim. Jason Kim.
Yes.
Miss Rebecca Lake.
Yes.
Mr. Madison.
Yes.
Mrs. Min.
Yes.
Mr. Barnabas Rowe.
Yes.
Mr. Jeffrey Rowe.
Yes.
Mr. Timothy Yang.
Yes.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Kim. Next, we personnel, Mr. Jeffrey Wu.
Yes, Mr. President, before you, we have 8 resolutions. I make a motion that we move on consent agenda.
Second it.
Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Dr. Matarazza.
Yes.
Mrs. Jang. Yes. Mr. Kim.
Yes.
Miss Lake.
Yes.
Mr. Madison.
Yes.
Mrs. Min. Yes. Mr. Barnabas Rowe.
Yes.
Mr. Jeffrey Rowe.
Yes.
Timothy Yang.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Wu. Okay, curriculum, Mr. Yang.
I don't have anything for resolution, but I just wanted to let you guys know that I've had an opportunity to meet with Ms. Tennant, and I'll be doing so every other month, just to go over the curriculum with her and just giving me a little bit of information on how it works and things that they're getting ready for QSAP for next school year. That's it.
And I'd just like to applaud and thank Ms. Tennant and the staff that she had working with her. I witnessed the curriculum being revised at the Board of Ed annex, we'll call that.
Garage.
Okay, I didn't want to, but they were doing a phenomenal job. It's a lot of work, it's tedious work, and I know firsthand how much work goes into that. And I applaud all the faculty and staff for doing what they did. Okay, thank you, Mr. Yang. Next one would be negotiations, Mrs. Yang.
Okay, for negotiation with administrators, we met, and also we're having the teachers' negotiation going on. So at this moment, I don't have a final report, but we're working very hard on it.
Yes, you are. And I was amazed how much work goes into it, but thank you very much. Next one, Mrs. Zhang, again, policy.
I have no report at this moment.
Okay, PTA, PTSA, Mrs. Min?
No report at this time.
Thank you. Okay, then it would be student activity, field trip, Mrs. Lee.
There's events going on from the Dramatic Art Society. It's for March 29th and 30th for Little Shop Horrors, and then Lindbergh School Symphonia performing on April 30th. High school performing arts students will be doing Hamlet on April 10th. Hopefully everyone could join. And before you do, we have 6 resolutions. I would like to make motion to consent agenda.
Thank you. Second on that?
I second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Dr. Matarazza?
Yes.
Mrs. Zhang? Yes. Mr. Kemp?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Madison?
Yes.
Mrs. Min?
Yes.
Mr. Barnabas Rowe?
Yes.
Mr. Jeffrey Rowe?
Yes.
Mr. Yang?
Yes.
Okay, calendar, food services, Mr. Barnabas Rowe. No report at this time. Okay, next would be any old business. Any old business? Any, no, okay, new business. We have, I
I
believe,
have one revision.
yes, the proposal, yes, sir.
Yeah, be it resolved that the board open the recommendation of superintendent to approve following resolution regarding proposed school facility project. I'd like to make a motion as a consent agenda.
Second on that?
I'll second.
Any discussion? And that's the one that's enclosed, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. If not, roll call, please.
Dr. Matarazza?
Yes.
Mrs. Zhang? Yes. Mr. Jason Kemp?
Yes.
Mrs. Rebecca Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Madison?
Yes.
Mrs. Young Min? Yes. Mr. Barnabas Rowe?
Yes.
Mr. Jeffrey Rowe?
Yes.
Mr. Timothy Yang?
Yes.
Great, thank you, Mr. Kim. Any other new business? If not, we're going to go to audience participation. We ask for the audience to please come up to the podium, state your name and address. Any audience?
I move that we go to audience participation.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Let's go. 3 minutes, yes, limit 3 minutes. Yes, sir.
Good evening, my name is Michael Breston, 310B 6th Street. I am currently a senior at the Palisades Park Junior Senior High School. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for passing the school facilities project resolution. That is much appreciated and definitely is not unnoticed. I know we sort of have a formal 3-minute rule where I speak and you respond and that's the end of it. But I have a question to ask, and I have other things to ask that are sort of contingent on your answer. So is it possible we could sort of have a little discussion? Okay, cool. When will either school resource officers or police officers be assigned to the 3 schools of our district?
So that's an ongoing conversation with the local government. I think clearly it is not in our budget. It was never in our budget to have school resource officers. I know Mayor Chung, who I can't speak for because he's not here, has mentioned and has been in contact with me that he would love to potentially open those conversations. I've spoken to our board about shared services, and they're not opposed to it if done properly and above board. We clearly know that this was a major concern earlier this school year, Michael. And for the record, I'm not opposed to it if it's, again, done right with properly trained resource officers.
Okay, thank you, and
Sure.
just like to follow up. I appreciate that hopefully no one is opposed to it, which I'm very happy to hear. However, we're still going to school with no protection from possible intruders. We do have one, I guess you could call it a resource officer. I'm not exactly sure what his
Security
title is.
officer.
But his ability to
So,
protect
I don't want to be rude and interrupt. I just also know that some of this is being broadcast, and I don't want to open up any of our schools to any vulnerability.
Okay,
If there are concerns privately, we can speak.
okay,
And again, I'm not trying to defend anyone's disabilities and or lack of maneuvering capabilities. So again, I know you're very mature. You're more mature than many of 17 or 18-year-olds that I've ever met.
thank you.
Just try to phrase your concerns in a way that does not keep our schools in danger.
Okay,
You understand where I'm
yes,
going?
totally
Thank you,
respect
buddy.
that. So let me rephrase my questioning. What can the students do at this point? Because we're relying on the adults to make decisions quickly to help us, and they're not being done quickly. So what can the 650 somewhat students in the high school, the hundreds of students in elementary school, the 100 somewhat students in ECC, the parents, the teachers, the staff, everyone that's involved in the education department, what can we do to speed this along?
So that's
Because
a
this
great
is something
question. That is an
that,
absolutely great question. And Michael, I'm going to tell you, we see the commercials, we hear the advertisements, see something, say something. Research and studies indicate that any time that there has been any incident of this type, without going into further detail, signs have been displayed. You are potentially friends with people where you may see different behaviors exhibited. And again, it's not only you, it's the almost 2,000 students in our district. If you witness that, if your parents do, if your family does, we need to speak up. We need to alert authorities. We need to notify faculty, staff, administrators. It can't just be, well, he's having a bad day, it's okay. If we don't say anything, it's okay, might be too late. So I think speaking up, being vigilant, and just knowing our surroundings. It would be no different than us going to, a remote location and seeing an unmanned suitcase or backpack, right? We're gonna have to report it. I would venture to say it would be the same in our schools with our friends. They start to exhibit behaviors that are unlike the norm, without, giving a stigma to any child. Just making someone else aware of it, so we can also be on the lookout.
okay. May I follow up? I'm not sure if my 3 minutes is over.
You're way over. Keep on going. My wife knows not to wait.
With all due respect, I feel that the students have sort of been trying to develop that type of environment where we are all alert, we are all on top of each other, making sure that if something seems in any way a little off, to alert authorities or guidance counselors or staff, one person or another, to prevent certain issues. But it's not enough comfort. I'm not exactly sure if that means a lot to you guys, comfort at school, but students, teenagers are running out of places to call safe. In recent news, places of worship have been under attack. Schools are under attack. So our places are becoming limited. We need help from the adults. I understand it's not in the budget, but
Police resource officers are not in the budget. Security is in the budget.
okay.
Continued security will remain in the budget, Michael.
Thank you for
100%.
correcting me. Thank you.
No. I may have misspoken as well.
So I'm running out of ways to ask you this in the most formal way.
I
I'm
will,
sorry,
how about
but-
this? How about this? I will continue to work with our local government to see what other alternatives may be afforded to us as a district. And if it means having police officers with the proper training, keyword, proper training, to work with children, be put back in our schools, I'm open-minded. I'm willing and ready. Understand that, again, this is a reciprocal process and it's not one-sided.
And if I may, if you are willing to get that started, how soon can?
Tomorrow morning, I will make the phone calls again. They've started a long time ago, Michael.
Okay.
I'm a parent of 2 children, and I leave them every morning. That comfort word is something I keep my fingers crossed every day, right? And I know the schools today are not what they were 20 years ago when I was in school, or 40 years ago, right? 40 years ago, John. No, the reality is, it clearly is a concern, and it's a high priority, not just to me. I know this whole board. We are all concerned. We are all. It's a high priority, one that I don't like to say this publicly, but I do. It's clearly much more important than any statistical data point on an SAT or an AP score. That is an assessment. This is a human being's health, well-being. It's clearly why social emotional learning is what it is today when it never existed years ago. I will keep you abreast. Clearly, it's something that it's been on my radar. I spoke to Mayor Chung earlier today. It's still being discussed today.
Thank you, and I'll definitely be following up on that.
No problem.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to echo and say that, please be assured that our security is very, very tight.
50
I've been in
years.
the buildings many times over the past few months, and I had to show ID, I had to go to the proper authorities that were there. They wouldn't even let me through, and Dr. Cirillo was with me a few of the times. And he said, this is Dr. Matarazzo, and they said, sorry, we need to see your ID. So they are very good, they are very vigilant, they are doing their job. So please be assured that we are making sure that we are comfortable with our security. We would never open in the morning without it. Okay, any other questions from the audience? Yes, ma'am.
I was waiting to relax.
Maria Pasantes, 216 East Harriet.
Thank
in
you.
Palisades Park. I know I missed the last board meeting and they went over the facility, and I saw it on YouTube, thank you. I get to watch it all the time. But I know there was a mention about the recess area, which you know I'm a stickler about. And it's not included in the plan, right?
Correct.
Why is this?
I don't think that needs to be part of a referendum to be addressed. Personally, I think that's day-to-day operations. I don't think we need to invest multi-million dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think that's something that requires daily maintenance.
So will there be a playground? That's,
Absolutely. What building are we talking about? Because I
Lindbergh.
think, well, that wasn't the question last month. I think last month we were talking about the Early Childhood Center.
oh, okay, well, they
Yes.
have one.
So if I may, not to bring up 4 years ago, but 4 years ago I did defer my merit
I know.
bonuses
I know the whole story. I know.
in lieu
I
of a
recall.
playground, and that was in excess of $20,000. The playground, for all I care is something that Lindbergh deserves. We have first graders. I have no problem putting a playground there, but I'm not gonna put a playground, as I mentioned many a times,
Until the building's
until the
done.
buildings are
But it will
solidified.
be-
Because if a playground is there today,
No,
and a
I'm not
building is
saying
constructed
today.
tomorrow,
I'm
the
saying
playground may have to go.
After construction.
I have
there
no
will
problem
be-
putting playgrounds in school settings.
I
I think
wanna
there needs to
make
be
sure.
time for play.
Okay.
Okay.
And next question. Okay. There was an article in the paper recently, every school graded. I made you all a copy.
Yep, we have it.
You do.
Yeah, it's okay, we'll take it again.
We are not ranked very well.
We're not ranked at all, actually.
Exactly, it's a 0.
Correct.
Out of 2,100 schools in the state of New Jersey. That is so concerning to me as a parent and an educator. And we can say numbers are skewed, maybe a little bit off,
Thank you.
but 0 is 0. And that is extremely concerning to me, because I don't care how big the building you're going to build is, it is not going to change the numbers. And that makes me very concerned. Because I have a daughter in the high school who has, like many students here, issues with their education. And they try to advocate appropriately, and it's never addressed. And I'm not saying the teachers aren't fabulous, we have some amazing teachers, we do, and administrators. But somewhere something is lacking. And it's very disheartening, not only to know it. It's one thing to hear my daughter every day come home, or other students, her peers, her friends. But then to read about it, then it's even worse. And that's a huge concern.
So for go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I just want to know, what are we doing?
So what we're doing, and for the record, if anyone did not see this article, I think it came out last week. It was a article in relation to school performance reports. And it really looks at certain indicators. It looks at chronic absenteeism, graduation rates, different park assessments. And for the record, we are clearly not a 0. Because
I
a 0
know.
means our schools would not be open. We have
I know.
students going to Ivy Leagues.
It's a rating.
We have students
I
here
know.
tonight that'll be going to Ivy Leagues. It's a rating that
But the
clearly,
issue is,
Maria,
Go ahead.
this is clearly in error, like many of districts. How is it fair? First of all, it's not a 0.
no, I know.
But we have an error report that was submitted, which is why we were giving a 0. In all fairness, we're rating elementary schools to junior, senior high schools, and even high schools. I don't know how you can ever use such a
I
rating
know that,
system.
but I read a lot of ratings.
Yeah, I do
on our
too, and
school
again, to
district.
Michael's point, I put a lot more merit into school security than ratings any day of the week.
School security, I lose track of, yes. You can read a lot of ratings on Pal Park in different areas. They're never very high. And we all know that if you look them up. And I hear parents say things when we go to